What is a lot harder than people realize? Running or just starting off exercising. You don't realize just how out of shape you are. I started hitting the gym a little under a year ago. It's always so tempting to want to take a day off the routine, but I force myself, and so far every time I don't regret it. So once I hit a situation where I absolutely need to skip the gym, I don't feel guilty about it. Plus, I am finally at that point where the results speak for themselves. But if I saw my results then, it wouldn't change the temptation at all. Giving up on discipline is too easy. I was on a really good run until the day before Christmas when I went to visit family. I've been back home for 3 weeks now and I didn't go to the gym once. Restarting the routine is so fucking hard for me, even though I know I love being at the gym. I would argue that starting is easy, but continuing after that first couple of runs, that's tough. Every day it gets a little easier, but that's the hard part. You gotta do it every day. One of my favorite quotes. Staying a positive person. I'm a high school special ed teacher and I am trying to be so positive all day for my kids, but I nearly burst into tears when I was alone in my class yesterday. The world is a scary place, especially when it feels like everything is going to shit. I consider myself to have become more pessimistic as time has gone on, and it's really hard to pull myself out of that. Moving. Yes, and it's not just about how much stuff that needs to be moved. People constantly say, "Why don't you just move?" And they have zero clue as to all of the variables that have to be addressed to do that, and the impact it has. It's not that easy to just move. I moved my family to another state couple years ago. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm still a little shocked about that. I can't imagine doing it again, so I guess it's a good thing that I like my house. Moving a huge distance is far beyond the logistics of packing and going to. It means leaving your friends and relationships behind. It means losing things that were set up and reliable, babysitters, doctors, house sitters, your church and community groups. It takes a while to set those up again. When the initial work of unpacking and organizing ends, then the loneliness and emptiness starts to set in while establishing new relationships. It can be an exciting time, but it is hard. I have moved a lot, internationally twice. The secret is to sell everything you don't have a deep emotional attachment to. And the real secret is to buy used where you can on the other side so it doesn't cost the earth. People think of used furniture as just for students and desperately poor people. But if you are willing to spend real money, but still half of retail, you can get steals on all sorts of stuff. Of course, my most recent move was about a mile across town as we went from renting to owning, and because it was so close, of course we kept everything. And fuck me, it was the worst move of my life. I moved to England from Seattle, and from London to New York, and both of those were much easier because I just sold damn near everything. The point is, it's all in how you move. Balancing work, life, and personal growth. I came to comment children family, but then I saw this one, and I think that sums it up pretty well. And finding what to cook for dinner lol. Self-control. Don't have a drink. Turn off the TV. Don't use social media. Don't eat the brownie. Stop after 5 minutes. Self-control. It helps me to avoid the word don't and focus on what to do instead. To use your examples, I train my brain to say, do have some water, coffee, tea, milk, etc. Turn on some music. Do communicate directly with a loved one. Do eat an apple. Do set the timer. You'd be surprised how well this simple trick helps the internal dialogue. Maintaining friendships. I suck at this so much. Totally unintentionally. Ugh. It's hard talking to a friend every day, when you are going through your own personal shit, and then when your friend needs help as well. It can be overwhelming. Depression. It's so easy to tell people to just get up and do something. Unless you've been there, you'll never really understand. I remember once my brother talking down about his roommate because he had depression, and saying how silly he thought it was that the guy avoided doing things he liked. My brother thought that if he just did the things he enjoyed, he would be happy. I got so angry that my brother would live with this guy for 10 years and not try to understand what depression really was. I told him that depression isn't being sad, it's getting your emotions taken from you, that you can't do the things that you loved or made you happy because they don't make you happy anymore. So doing them just reminds you how the depression has ripped everything from you, even the things you used to love. The guilt that comes from depression is awful. Why don't you wake up earlier? Believe me, I'm trying. Pulling the plug for a loved one in the hospital. It's not like the movies. They don't go easy or quickly. The cardiac ICU nurse told us my dad probably wouldn't last an hour after we took him off of life support. So that was what we were expecting. He lasted 5 days. 5 days sitting next to him while he received no water or food and slowly died. It was awful. The fact euthanasia isn't widely available for such cases is just absurd. In my country, even pet euthanasia isn't very popular. Things will only get worse from there on. The lack of euthanasia will be a point they'll use to describe how cruel medicine was up to the first half of the 21st century. I'm glad my grandma got to die quickly. Once it was clear she wouldn't make it. Sudden inflammation to blood poisoning to total organ failure in 3 or so days. Once the doctor said she wouldn't make it a day longer, we decided to pull the plug while she was still given morphine so it'd be painless. That's about as close to euthanasia as you can get. Mental disabilities. I feel like all kinds of disabilities fit into this category. Life is so much more expensive for those with limited mobility. Having groceries delivered, pay a tip. Have groceries brought to your car, a tip. Someone to pump my gas, another tip. I would love to do all these things and more, but I just can't. Plus, clothes shopping is a nightmare. And getting things online never works, so instead of the pain from standing in a post office line for an hour to return something I just donated, all these little things add up. Maybe a bit specific, maintaining hygiene when you have mental health issues. Unfortunately, due to depression, I failed myself, and now my gums are receding. I'm embarrassed about it. Sucks that I looked in a mirror one day and realized it had been a year of hygiene neglect. I'm on the road to recovery at the moment. I also noticed I would get canker sores often. Swallowing pride. The most unnecessary personality trait is definitely pride. And yet it feels nigh impossible to ignore, so annoying. Letting go. Had a girl who I dated for several years slowly dump me during the pandemic. I was devastated. I had lost 4 members of my family, and then she put that on me. I was naive enough to think she was possibly the one. Sometimes I'll forget about her only to have an intense dream where we are together again, or I'll see something that triggers memories of her. I hate it. I've been in several relationships since and am currently 3 years strong with a wonderful woman, but the memories remain and just won't go away. Being a single dad with no friends or social life, no matter how hard I try and dig my way out. Work and being a parent is just tiring. Find a decent human to marry and have children with. You can get married and have kids easily, but finding someone actually good to partner with is hard. Well, yeah, a good partner takes years to develop, and sometimes people change over that time too. It's a huge time investment to figure out, and even then not a guarantee. One thing is certain, it takes a lot of effort to make it work. Being an adult. 310 do not recommend. Losing weight. I always liked the saying, losing weight is simple, but it sure as hell ain't easy. Looking after your personal health. Diet, exercise, mental health, social health. No one actually cares if you do or don't do. The onus is on you and only you. Watching your parents get older. Going no contact with your own family. This. I wonder daily if I'm the bad guy, but have to remind myself what was said and done. Sobriety. Almost reaching my 30 days and it was hard. ADHD? It's not just, I can't do this thing because I'm too distracted. It's more like, I can't get out of bed because that task is so incomprehensible and overwhelming to my tiny little monkey brain. It's not just, I forgot where my phone was and it was in my pocket the whole time. It's more like, I forgot what I was doing, saying, and thinking of 5 seconds ago. It's not just, I'm procrastinating by playing Call of Duty instead of studying. It's more like, Call of Duty is the only thing that can give me enough dopamine and motivation to make it through the day. Source, a tired college student with ADHD. Not going homeless. Most people are just one bad day away. Making friends after 25? Honestly, everything. A lot of kids these days think things should just be easy. They give up too easily. Playing guitar takes work. Having a boyfriend-girlfriend takes work. Having a job takes work. Hell, driving a vehicle is harder than people realize. Everything in life takes effort, and it's all hard, especially if you aren't perfect at it within the first 5 minutes. If you ever want to be really good at anything, then it's going to be hard. The hardest thing for people to do is to be content with themselves. What is a lot harder than people realize? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.